Welcome to FEO On The Air, the voice of the festivals and events industry in Ontario. Please welcome our CEO and your host, Dave McNeil.
Hello and welcome to another edition of FEO On The Air. Today we're talking about the Thunder Bay Busker Festival, and we've got Chelsey Lokstet, who is an event coordinator for Thunder Bay Busker Fest. Welcome, Chelsey.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So a lot of communities do Busker Fests. For those that don't, and for people that have never been, can you just describe a little bit of the history of the Thunder Bay Busker Fest?
Yeah, so we've been having it for the past 10 years, I believe. This will be the first one back after COVID, which is super exciting. It takes place in the Bay Algoma Neighbourhood, which is a historic district in Thunder Bay in the Port Arthur area. And so it's just a big get-together of local performers, out-of-town performers, as well as local vendors, craft vendors, and food vendors.
And your dates for this year's festival?
Yeah, so it's going to be July 29th and 30th.
So for people from out of town that are looking for ideas, and can you give them the address for your festival that they can go and look around and see what to expect?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, it's taking place in the Bay and Algoma district. So Algoma Street and Bay Street. Bay Street's really well known for being the home of the Hoito restaurant, which is super sadly not there anymore. It tragically burned down, but that was kind of the claim to fame. It's a really cool district filled with local stores, local restaurants, coffee shops, and it's near the waterfront, near the marina. So there's lots to do in that area. Bay and Algoma is a super cool street, but you're not far from downtown Port Arthur, Red River, the marina again. So there's lots to do in the area.
And how is your festival set up? Is it like, do you have sort of main stages where the buskers come in and out of, or is it a true up and down the street and little pods here and there, or is it a combination of both?
Yeah, exactly. So what we learned was that busker stage is actually called the pitch. So the buskers are performing at designated pitches. So throughout the weekend, we'll have a schedule available for people to see. There'll be designated pitches throughout the festival, and then different performers assigned to different spots.
Now, are you getting a lot of your performers that have been there before and are happy to come back and are like crowd favorites? What's your process for selecting the buskers?
Yeah, for sure. So we have a ton of people that have been part of Buskers Festival before, who are super eager to get back, especially after COVID. So an example of that would be Cody Creed. He's Canada's living statue. He comes all dressed up in like gold or silver. He's from out of town. He's from Winnipeg. But so he applied again, and we were super happy to have him. So essentially people apply and just checking out their social media, things like that, seeing what they have to offer. We are loving that we're showcasing local talents, but we still have a couple of performers coming from Manitoba.
So how many total buskers would you have throughout the weekend?
Right now, I believe we're close to 20, but not all of those people are singing per se. We have a caricature artist. We have stilts performers. So I'd say right now there's about 15 singers.
And are you still open to accept buskers, or are you closed down and your schedule is built?
Yeah, so our final day to apply to be either a food vendor, craft vendor, or performer would be June 30th. So coming up this Friday.
And Chelsey, how many volunteers does it take to run a Busker Fest in Thunder Bay?
Yeah, so we're hoping for about 30 volunteers. So we'll have 3 full staff members, the Bay and Algoma District Committee helping, and then our 30 volunteers.
And how did you keep people engaged during COVID? And I don't want to go negative or anything there, but I mean, it's important, and obviously you were around before that. But what did you do to keep your volunteer base and people
Yeah, for
involved?
sure. It's hard because it's been a long time now. Like 3 years is significant. I think it's just that Buskers Festival is a staple in Thunder Bay, and people knew about it and they felt its absence during COVID. So I think that a lot of people see the benefit for Buskers Fest, for the local economy, for the community. Thunder Bay has a really large population of people that leave every weekend to go camping, but then there's people that are in town and are looking for things to do, families that are looking for things to bring their children to. So yeah, just keeping that in people's minds, being active on social media, things like that. And yeah, as soon as we announced that Buskers was back, we started hearing from volunteers. So,
And what are some of your challenges that you've had coming out of and getting back to you say it's your first live event again? What are some post-COVID obstacles that you're working around?
Yeah, for sure. I think making sure that this event is not like any other events going on in town for the summer. People don't want to go to different events every weekend and be seeing the same thing over and over again. So making sure that we have a unique aspect to the festival for sure. And then obviously just keeping in mind health protocols. I will be honest, like before COVID, I never thought about the risk of large groups gathering, anything like that. So making sure that we have masks on site, making sure it's a mask-friendly event, that everyone can do what they need to do to feel comfortable.
And have your supplier costs gone up, or are you basically just an open street fest and you don't have a lot of costs associated with it? Or
I think the cost of everything has gone up, but it hasn't seemed too bad right now. And in the end, the demand exceeds the cost, so it's worth it.
And your Busker Fest, it is a full family friendly event, or do you have some sort of adult evening type things? Or
no, it's totally a family friendly event. It's a free event, free admission. Totally bring the kids, bring the whole family.
And what are some of the buskers that you're looking forward to seeing coming in?
Yeah, so I'm really excited for the caricature artist, Brian Neiman, Neiman's Creatures, I believe he's called. I'm really excited for that. What I wanted to make sure was that it wasn't just singers. Like singing is great, that's awesome, but I wanted to have a variety of buskers that people could see. So I'm really excited for the caricature artist. Really excited to see the stilts performers. I think that's going to be crazy. I'm really excited to see what kids think when they see this like massive 10-foot person on stilts. And then as well, the Bay Street Bastards will be performing. They're a local favorite. I believe they're performing acoustically, but it's like a Celtic punk band. So I think that will be really cool and draw a big crowd.
And what about your local business community? Do they embrace the festival? Are they good sponsors and good to work with? Do they see the benefit of having stuff like this happen in their downtown core?
Yeah, exactly. So the Bay and Algoma area is home to dozens of local businesses, and they've been super supportive of Buskers festivals in years past as well as this year. So this year we have, for example, a couple businesses, Pretty Fly Co., The Cheese Encounter, and Bean Fiend are all acting as a stage sponsor. We have Nomad, which is a local sandwich store, will be home to a stage right in front of it. They're all getting super involved. Most of them will have like a sidewalk sale or something like that happening during the festival. So it's definitely mutually beneficial for the businesses as well as us.
And happening in Thunder Bay, but what communities are you drawing from in and around? What have you got some details on travelers that have come in and out? And
yeah, absolutely. So Thunder Bay is kind of the regional hub for all of our surrounding communities. So anywhere from Dryden, Fort Francis, Atikokan, Geraldton, all of those people will be coming to town. It's also just a place where people are regularly visiting for doctor's appointments, supplies, pickups, things like that. So while they're in town, this is also happening that they can definitely come check out. There's quite a few local as well as franchise hotels in the area, the Port Arthur, the Delta, things like that. So there's lots of accommodations for people to, if they're coming from outside the city, for people to stay.
And you were talking earlier about a lot of people get out of town to the camps and things like that on the weekends. But do you have a big tourist base up in Thunder Bay? A lot of people coming into the community as well?
We do, yeah. And now that we have, we are now a spot on the, I'm not quite sure if it's the Viking cruise line, but we're having like over a dozen cruise ships come to our marina this summer. And that is bringing in hundreds of tourists from the States as well as Europe. So that's bringing in like a whole new tourist demographic that was never really a thing here in Thunder Bay, which is super exciting. And it's super exciting that Buskers Fest gets to be a showcase of local talent and local businesses.
And just one last pitch for people that want to get more information. Just remind them on where to look and your dates again.
Yeah, so our dates are July 29th and 30th. The end of July, and then the website is www.buskersfestival.ca. Nice and simple.
So Chelsey Lokstet, who is the event coordinator for the Thunder Bay Busker Fest, thank you very much for giving us that information. When we come back, we're going to talk to Marnie Lapierre from Northern Events and Tourism Consultants on what else you can do up in the Thunder Bay area. Back in just a minute with FEO on the air.
Festivals and events are back in Ontario, and so are we with a brand new website. Learn what's happening in your community on your mobile phone or your computer. Plan your festival season. Share those plans with your friends. It's fun at your fingertips. Ontario, we're back. Festivalsandeventsontario.com.
Welcome back to FEO on the Air. Marnie Lapierre from Northern Events and Tourism Consultants joins us. Welcome, Marnie.
Hello. Thank you for having me today.
So Thunder Bay, for those that aren't familiar, quite a ways up north. For people that are coming into the community, what are some tourism attractions that you would promote in and around the area?
There are so many things that you could fill an entire week, if not more, with the attractions that are up in Thunder Bay. I've been a tourist in the area. I have family up there that I visit and have some connections in the tourism industry there. So I speak with it impassionately because it's very impactful. Their tourism programming up there is amazing. One of the first things that you want to see is to head out to the fort. It is absolutely amazing. You take a step back in time, you follow this beautiful path, and you are greeted by characters from the past during the early settlement days, and they've incorporated, of course, an Indigenous component to it. You get to participate in the stories of the area. For example, I was questioned at length because I come from the Temiskaming region, and in the days of the fur trading, both areas were in serious competition with each other, as well as the political alignment. So I was grilled and very closely incarcerated, as they say in the fort, because I could have been a spy, because you had the royal attachments, as well as the new government that was being formed. And yeah, it was a little tense, but it was a lot of fun. You get to participate in the gardening. There's wildlife all over the place, as well as domesticated animals that were prevalent at the time that the fort was constructed. You were given a full historical tour of what it took to bring in the fur trade into the area. And let me tell you, those were some really hardy people back in the day. So that left a great impact. There's also the observatory that you can participate in the evenings. You go out there, they've got a beautiful setup, and there's an entire show that goes on, or you can just go and sit in the areas that are outside. They have these beautiful fireplaces that you can sit around and enjoy the night sky. When the aurora borealis is at full peak, it's absolutely gorgeous there. Those are just two of the areas. If you're into the art scene, Port Arthur has some amazing areas to go into, as well as some amazing fusion restaurants to try out. I never thought I would be a real big health nut, but there's a few amazing salad places that you can go into. I don't have all the names, but when you start to plan your trip to Thunder Bay, definitely reach out to the tourism office. The staff there are fantastic, and they can help you plan something along the lines of what your interests are. The provincial government has a beautiful setup out at the Kakabeka Falls, just a little bit outside of the city. It is so incredibly imperial. It's just gorgeous. And when you're there in the springtime, when the spring runoff happens, it is majestic, like the force of the water, and you're able to travel both sides of the falls very safely. There's different levels that you can walk down. They really maintain it beautifully, and there's all kinds of history around the area as well at in the provincial park pavilion, so to say.
And Marnie, when COVID happening, I mean, a lot of people go to the Thunder Bay area for obviously the hunt and fish and the camps and stuff like that. Are the American tourists coming back into the region now? Are we starting to see that intercommerce come back? Or
it's starting slowly. I think one of the benefits, if you can say, to the pandemic was people became explorers in their own backyard, and we've always entertained and embraced our American visitors coming into the community because they've always contributed into the revenue stream and taken back a great appreciation of, especially of our outdoors. And it's starting to come back now, especially with the cruise lines that are coming into Thunder Bay. That's going to make a difference. And I know it has been quite the talk in Northern Ontario that's also going to attract Ontario visitors because it's something new and spectacular. There's the one cruise line that comes up into Parry Sound, that comes up from Southern Ontario. But now we've got this great opportunity with the cruise lines coming into Thunder Bay. People and visitors will be able to explore the waterfront, which has so much to offer. There's the concerts throughout the summer that are free and open to the area. There's the art exhibitions. There's the marketplaces. It's a short walk to some of the downtown area where you can explore these great brand restaurants, as well as some mom and pop operations that are so unique. Roosters, for example, one of my favorites up there.
And just for some people in Ontario who've heard of Thunder Bay, and just how far from Toronto, like from Sudbury, just to give people a sense of if it's a drive, it's a fly, if it's a train, or the different modes to get there.
I am an advocate for making the drive through Ontario, to take your time, make it part of your trip, because there are so many unique little spots to explore as you wind your way northward. I'm located in Timmins, so it's a drive for me to go anywhere. So for us to travel to Thunder Bay, it's about a 8.5 to 9 hour drive. So that gives you a little idea, because Timmins is about 8 hours from Southern Ontario. Well, I say Southern Ontario, meaning Toronto. And you can take different directions. You can go up through Hearst, or you can go up through Wawa, Chapleau, and up in that area, depending on what you want to see. I always recommend doing a nice big loop, because then you get the full effect of what Ontario is, and you're not going to see the same scene twice. You might see the same type of tree, but there's so many beautiful little spots that you can pull off, so many parks. So yeah, it's located in the northwestern region, but the travel up there is just gorgeous, and it doesn't matter what time of year. Fall especially is spectacular.
Yeah, that drive with the colors, and it'd be hard to keep your eyes on the road, I would imagine.
Absolutely. And I mean, if time is of the essence, they do have a national airport in there that can get you in and out within a couple of hours. Flights right to Toronto, Montreal, even into the other provinces, not a problem. International flights come in. So yeah, it's very accessible. I always recommend the drive, because you get to see more.
So lots of things happening in the Thunder Bay area. Thank you, Marnie. We really appreciate you. Thanks again to Chelsey Lokstet. A lot going on for the Busker Fest, and a lot to do in and around the area. So if you're thinking of planning a vacation, or you want to get away to Northern Ontario and you want more information, certainly get in touch with us, get in touch with Marnie, get in touch with Chelsey, and you'll make your trip a very great experience. Thank you to everybody that's listening. I'm Dave McNeil. You've been listening to FEO On The Air.
Thanks for listening to FEO On The Air, the voice of festivals and events in Ontario.